Hi, my name is Drew Fayani.
I'm Miranda Sweat.
I'm Felipe Chinoshi, and today we're going to present about how does mental health and immigrants differ in immigrants based on mental health. The immigrants' chronic stress is caused by the persistent stress where fatigue and lack of focus influence their balance in the past and present cultures and societal and economic factors. These factors is influenced by their education and their performance and social impressions, their discrimination that is faced on education, and the barriers it established by them. It is also plays a big role in their coping mechanism where their cultural experience is influenced by their unmet needs. Why do they underperform? They underperform because they're less proficient, they face discrimination, stress, and economical factors play a big role in influencing their underperformance. This is the OECD model, also known as the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. This shows the achievement gap between the immigrants and non-immigrants, which are natives born in the United States. The PISA, the Programme for International Students Assessment, was performed. It's a standardized assessment performed in 15 years old among 65 countries, and have been shown that the immigrants have scored 20 points less in reading and 15 points less in math. Their income leads to their underperformance, where families that have lower income are prejudicing their scores. On this graph here, the square shape, it's before accounting for their socioeconomic status, meaning that after accounting for their socioeconomic status on the traces, it shows that they have a lower score. So whenever they account for their social status, they perform worse than the immigrants that are not accounted for. The social difficulties that they face is discrimination and racism. This is caused by the segregation between students, where natives avoid foreigners. This can happen by their discrimination to their accent or differences in their background. This was researched by a company named by No Isolation, where they researched that diverse backgrounds causes people to have a lack of connection between each other. This is also caused when the students do not connect to the teachers, leading them to having this underperformance. Another factor that plays a role is their curriculum, where usually the curriculum on different countries are different from the ones in the United States. On other countries, the students, they are not as advanced as their peers. The math and literature is taught different in other countries. They usually have a very complex whenever they underperform compared to the natives. And the lack of funding, such as governmental funding, and their lack of opportunities lead to their underperformance.
Trauma and discrimination is a major problem that affects immigrants in their mentality and in their safe places, such as schools and their social environments. According to Sal's Wright, a professor at Boston University, recurring discrimination resulted in an increase in mental health disorders. This shows that places like colleges are a vulnerable place for immigrants as they lead to more mental health issues. This infographic provides information on how students that have mental issues such as anxiety and stress, depression, and even thoughts of suicide, they reach out for help from their peers and even teachers, but they get denied that due to biased facts and discrimination from them. This leads to traumatic experiences that may occur in the places of immigrants at risk. Over 99% of Asian American 9th and 10th graders reported having at least one encounter to the model stereotype when failing to meet expectation. They may suffer from identity issues and psychological distress. Culture significantly impacts various ethnic groups, aspects of mental health, including the perception of health, illness, treatment-seeking behavior, and coping styles.
Coping Socioeconomic sense take a major part in immigrants' mental health because it shows their cultural experiences, unmet need, and resources provided, as well as what direction they'll take it. Mental health, according to Carolyn Aldwin, an Oregon State University professor, she says that shaping mental health, immigrants' mental health is shaped by four main things: cultural perspective, the perspective cultures take on the issue and how they demand it be treated; severity of stress, more commonly being chronic stress, as I mentioned earlier; personal regardment, how the individual prioritizes the issue over being competent; and coping choices, which is all the result of all the factors, plus in where they want to go, and it ties back to personal regardment. A common form of coping is social groups, such as Polynesians tend to have a affiliation with the LDS Church because it ties back to their own cultural values. Cultural barriers may cause unmet need, such as some cultures, such as Asians, tend to discourage emotional expression, so they might restrain themselves from reaching out. This leads into either unmet need or the need for more subtle methods of self-care. Intercultural competence, the ability to be able to balance both their original cultures and the present mainstream culture, economically, socially, and linguistically, tends to add on to chronic stress and also shapes what they will prioritize, and it might replace their own mental health. Lack of resources creates unmet need, alienation, stress, and bad management of stress. And this can be reduced, as some studies have shown. That's a lie. As some of having culturally aware teachers have been able to show that having culturally aware teachers in the classroom has been allowed them to be able to have cross-cultural environments without dulling out any culture. So it allows for free expression and also for them to be able to resolve their own issues. This chart shows that foreigners tend to express their emotional needs less. However, this demonstrates rather than a counter argument, it shows the chasm unmet need has created due to both cultural factors and the lack of resources. Some solution might be how culturally aware resources and education might be able to help, since it's a good way to combine both their culture and their needs, and it's been proven the most effective and used the most. Closer to social groups that tie back to cultural values may also work, however that depends more on the individual. Some limitations might be how cultural views might be a bigger factor than resources, since most of the unmet need is actually created by the culture rather than the lack of resources. Most schools do have culturally aware resources available, they just aren't reached out to. Sources are mostly drawn from a demographic of young adult immigrants, meaning 18-year-olds to 25-year-olds, meaning that although it might still be applicant because they did technically go through U.S. education, we aren't super sure. So further research on younger student immigrants is encouraged. Thank you. Any questions?
Take like 2 steps back. You're dominating the camera. All right, there we go. Felipe, we'll start with you. Reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem that you identified?
Dhruv, whenever he presented the discrimination, it proved to be the most influential to my part of the project, where whenever child faces discrimination is the part when they suffered most in their mental health state.
All right, thank you. Miranda, what's a way in which your team's resolution makes you think differently about your own research?
I feel that education quality might have taken a bigger role, and that was Felipe's domain, where he started talking about scores that were done based on ethnicities, and so that might have also taken a bigger role on their mental health and their cultural expectations aligning with education.
All right, thank you. Dhruv, Was there any arguments or any research that you guys came up with that you chose not to use in your presentation, and if so, why? What do you think? I need an answer.
What's the question again? You asked what solutions did we not use?
Was there any information that you got that you didn't use? Not just a solution. Is there anything that you came up with that you chose not to use, and then why did you choose not to use it?
We didn't really have anything that we didn't use.
Okay, we're done.